Welcome to Flashback Friday. I'm Matt Carothers. This show we go back in time and take a look at some of the great champions we've had in the history of the Breeders' Cup as we celebrate the 40th anniversary of the World Championships. The Breeders' Cup taking place at Santa Anita. It's right around the corner, November 3rd and 4th. You recognize this guy, don't you? He's the nicest horse you'll ever meet. He's one of the fastest horses you'll ever see, and he's one of the greatest horses of all time. Yes, American Pharoah, who won the Triple Crown back in 2015. He's the only horse to pull off, yes you did, the Grand Slam. Derby, Preakness, Belmont, and the final start of his career. A scintillating performance. He dominated in the Breeders' Cup Classic here in the Commonwealth at Keeneland in 2015, beating FNX by 6.5 lengths. He was 11 clear of a really, really good racehorse in Honor Code. But before we flash back to the amazing career of this guy, let's find out how he's doing now in his second career with the one and only Adrian Wallace of Coolmore. Adrian, how's he doing? He looks sensational.
He is a sensational horse. From the moment he's been here, this horse, not only did he revolutionize our thoroughbred business, he revolutionized the name of the farm. He raised the profile of the farm. He's raised the profile of this business. He's been a wonderful horse to have on this farm. The amount of visitors we get every single day still coming to visit this horse.
8 years later.
8 years later. Every single day we have tours, 40 to 50 people turn up. By selling his halters alone, he's managed to raise over $300,000 for equine charities around Bluegrass.
Look at you.
He's a phenomenal horse. We've had people.
You're a philanthropist.
He is. We've had people get engaged in front of him. We've had people burst into tears in front of him. So from his racing career to his stallion career, he's our all-time favorite.
Well, he's produced a bunch of Grade 1 winners.
He certainly has. I mean, he's only got five crops of racing age at the moment. He's had 7 Grade 1 winners worldwide. He's had a European champion 2-year-old in Van Gogh. He's had a Japanese champion in Cafe Pharaoh.
Right.
Harvey's Little Goyle, Above the Curve. Merneath. He has had a Breeders' Cup winner at 2. You know, he's had 7 Grade 1 winners in his short career. He's a very good stallion. He's got 2 runners in the adjustment here at Keeneland on Friday. He punches above his weight. The amazing thing for us, for a horse that was so suited to dirt, obviously a Triple Crown winner, the first and only Grand Slam winner, the amazing thing is how well they've taken to turf. So really, in terms of his profile, he's got a worldwide one. He's had tremendous success, as I said, in Europe, in Japan, and obviously in this country. And that just keeps him on the worldwide stage. He ticks every box. If you were a human, you'd hate him because he's the Tom Brady of our sport. He's good at everything. He's good looking, he's fast, he's talented, and
he's got style.
He's got style.
And last question, his demeanor. He's always been a big puppy dog. I mean, he's been that way. He was that way when he raced. Nothing's changed. His personality is exactly the same. Exactly the same.
He's the quietest stallion we've had. He's the quietest stallion we've ever had. He's quieter than most brood mares. He's a pleasure to be around. He enjoys people, he enjoys his fans, he enjoys just being loved on, and that's what we're all here for.
Adrian, thanks for the time.
Thanks, man.
Now it's time to dive into the racing career of this guy, the champion, American Pharoah. And who better to do that with than the gentleman who piloted him in 10 of his 11 lifetime starts, the Hall of Famer, always smiling, Victor Espinoza. Hey, Victor, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you guys?
We're doing great. It never gets old, does it, talking about American Pharoah?
No, never. It's always excited to talk about the champion.
Yeah, we have a lot to unpack here with you. We're going to go chronologically from the beginning of his career till the end in the Breeders' Cup Classic. You didn't ride him in his first race, and he showed speed and ran 5th at Del Mar. That was on the synthetic back in 2014. How did you get the mount on American Pharoah for the second start of his career, which was the Grade 1 Del Mar Futurity, even though he didn't hit the board in that maiden event in his debut?
Yeah. I guess Buffer, Bob Buffer, he thought that was the right jockey for him. But now, right. Yeah, Buffer, he's the one basically choose me to ride American Pharoah. I guess because they thought it was pretty good, and their first race it did not perform as well as he expected. And you know, he called me if I want to ride a horse in the Futurity, and it was a maiden, but I don't know what horse it was. So So I was like, yeah, fine, I will ride. Obviously, for Buffer, I always, ride.
Because you guys had success before. I mean, you won the Derby with War Emblem
Yeah.
for Bob before. So if you guys had won some big races, did you have any idea that he was this good? Do you have any idea that he was this good before the Del Mar Futurity? I mean, you knew he was talented. You had any idea he was what you were getting into?
No, not at all. No, I definitely not. I just thought it was just a horse. But and it's always like something in my mind is like why he's running in a Grade 1 maiden. I was something about that I was like, something that he knows that I don't know. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'm ready for it. And yeah, that's how I got the American Pharoah. And so I rode it in the Futurity in Del Mar. And I just never forget that time because there was a horse with a short tail. His tail is very, very short, and I didn't know the name, but I saw him when he ran the first time, and so I look at him as like, wait, that's the horse. And the first race, he was like insane. He almost ran off a few times with Martin Garcia in the gate. He was just like, I mean, he was so powerful. I think it was like he was the number one, and I was like number two. And I remember when he goes inside the gate, he was like moving the gate like barely anything. Like it was so powerful. The gate was just moving like insane. I remember I was like telling Martin Garcia, I say, be careful of the horse. It's like, you should just get off into everyone and get in and you get back on. And anyway, so and then when I saw him in the paddock, I was like, that's the horse. Like, now I know. Now I know why Buffer wanted me on this horse.
Right.
But, it was so, I was ready for it. I was like, okay, it's going to be a rodeo time right now. I was just ready for that time. And believe it or not, he was very kind and very professional just to go to the gate. And I remember I just, Buffer, he called me and told me about this horse. It's like, look, I think I put in this horse because I think is better than what he showed in the first race. And I really do like this horse. And I just like, when you just, he's slow out of the gate, but I want to make sure, I want you to make sure just, trying to go to the front. And that's what I want. It's like, and then see what we have.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, you've always been a great front end rider and a very strong rider. And it sounds like Bob was looking for both those traits with you. And obviously, he's owned the Del Mar Futurity. He's won it like 17 times now. That was probably like the 10th time he's won the race. So he's owned that race. So he won that race. That's the only race that he was not favored in, American Pharoah, in his career. Yep. He was 3-1 because he was a maiden. He ran fifth in his debut. Then you go to Santa Anita and you're on dirt. I think people forget that it was synthetic at Del Mar back then in 2014. And you run another huge race as the 1-2 favorite in the front runner. And now we're going to jump ahead. You have a horse that's going to be the heavy favorite in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile in 4 days. Was it 4 days before the race? He comes down with a deep bruise in his left front, and he has to scratch. And I remember the press conference with Bob. And I mean, he's at this point in time, he's already had some great horses, right? He's nearly won the Triple Crown with War Emblem with you, with Silver Charm. He won with Point Given, the last 2 legs of Triple Crown. He's already had some great horses in his career. Real quiet, obviously. He was. I've never seen him that upset at a press conference. That told me, even though we already knew he was a great horse, he was going to be heavily favored in the Juvenile, that this horse was something special. How upset were you?
Yeah, yes and no, because when he was not doing 100%, and in the way I would think, okay, it's the best thing just for him to scratch it, because to me, I was looking forward to win the Kentucky Derby. The Breeders' Cup is always like nice to win too, but to me, the Kentucky Derby is the number one race that I always want to win. And for him, there was not 100%. I was like, well, okay, thanks. I mean, and the way I look at the future, that it was the best thing for him to just skip that race and and getting ready for the Kentucky Derby, because he was running in such a big races and kind of like a little bit closer, because he won the futurity and as a maiden, and then he jumped to a big step to be able to run with the best ones. And I know that I have all the confidence in him, because Buffer and I would talk about it. It's like I said, Bob, I think this is the best horse I ever been on, and I ever rode as a 2-year-old, and we were like all excited. And it was kind of like this, like kind of sad thing that he's not running in the Breeders' Cup. But in the meantime, I was kind of happy, because for him it will be better to skip the race and go on for the next ones, for the
And
Triple
you had
Crown.
been pinching yourself too. I mean, you nearly won the Triple Crown the year before with the Great California Chrome. It's like, this is too good to be true. I got Chrome, now I got American Pharoah. I mean, it's just an unbelievable couple of years for you. So you thought maybe it was a blessing in disguise to miss. I think he would probably have been the exception, but still, the history of winning the Juvenile and the Derby is not particularly good still. So then, as the 3-year-old season, he doesn't debut until March, and Bob's often chosen the Oaklawn path to the Kentucky Derby. And that was the path that he chose with American Pharoah. Dominant win in the Rebel. You crushed that field, 40 cents on the dollar. But I want to talk about the Arkansas Derby and the importance of this race before we get to the Kentucky Derby, because the Arkansas Derby was really the first race that he showed the ability to rate a little bit. Was that by design? Did Bob say, hey, there's a good chance in the Kentucky Derby we're not going to get the lead, someone's going to gun, we have the best horse by a mile, so we can try to change things up a little bit and see how he performs rating? Was that the idea going in the Arkansas Derby?
Yeah, well, Buffer, we have a conversation before the race that because he just come back and he ran in the Rebel and then the next race, so it was very close to get to the Kentucky Derby, and Buffer, he don't have that much time to really like have him 100% ready to go to the Kentucky Derby, and it's like I don't want him like. He don't want me to do too much with him. I mean, crossing your fingers. If you win easy, don't abuse him, because we have the most important race in the Kentucky Derby, and that's exactly what I did in Oakland, because I don't want to like completely go all out with him and just riding hard. I had to save him, and that's why I kind of like rate him a little bit,
because he only had 2 starts. Since the front runner was, let's not forget, the front runner was September 27th. So you only have 2 starts before the May 2nd Derby, the sloppy win in the Rebel March 14th, and then the win in the Arkansas Derby. Yeah. So that's, what is that? 2 races in 8 months, something like that. So he, he was worried about fitness a little bit. So don't push him early, let him relax, let him finish and win the race. But hopefully it won't take too much out of him. And it didn't. So now we're going to jump ahead to the Derby. And he was favored, but he wasn't heavily favored. Very few horses are, because of the field size, field of 20. He was your 5-2 favorite in the race, right? I guess for the Derby is a fairly solid favorite. And we're going to go back and take a look at the 2015 Kentucky Derby. And what were your thoughts on the post in the Derby? Here we go. You broke from you were the 18 in this race. So you pretty much know you're not going to get the lead. I think Dortmund, the other Baffert, went to the lead, right? And here we can obviously see the Zayat Silks. You're coming up on the outside, kind of stalking right now and trying to move into position.
Yeah. So I think what happened on Saturday, he was not a heavy favorite because the outside post, it was way out. Everybody was worried about that. I'm not, because, when I ride a horse like that, it's just for me, it was more like a confidence that I think I had the best horse, and I'm going to ride it like the best horse. You see, like for me, the main thing, it was just like hit that first turn, maybe get to the first turn with that. If I go like 3 or 4 wide by the first turn, then that's it. I think that race, it will be, a favor to American Pharoah. I just don't want to go like 7-10 wide in the first turn. So I try to like, bounce out of there as quick as possible without even use it too much, and then start like squeezing a little bit everyone, so I don't hit the turn too wide.
So the plan's perfect right now. I mean, you are content with the way you're sitting there in third. You have to be thrilled with how things have gone, the first half of the race.
Yeah, yeah, it was to me. I thought it was like, wow, there's race is set up exactly what I wanted. Like you see it right by the half a mile past the half mile at 3/8, and we had to hit to the last turn. He started riding him, but suddenly he kind of shut down, and he really don't want to go. And I was just like a little confused. Why? What happens in there? So that's why I kind of like, if you notice, like turning for home, like I had to take the turn a little bit wide. So I was close to the other horse. He don't want to really go just the same speed. And I was like, okay, I'm in trouble because it's time to go. And he don't
You
go
had to
anywhere.
ask him here, right? I mean, this was his toughest win, wasn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
Firing Line ran great. That's Firing Line in second with Gary Stevens. I mean, this was not an easy win.
No, no, it was probably one of the toughest races that he really like win. It was not easy for him to win that race. It's like I was saying, like he don't really want to run his race, and I was close to the other two horses in the lead, and he just stayed in the same speed, and he don't want to go forward. Finally, I had to just I had to think about quick, do some different things with him, and I kind of went out a little bit wide, stay away from the two horses in front, and that's when he started running. Just right in the elbow when he turned into the stretch, he started like I can feel his legs started like going, like a little bit forward, stretching faster, and his body language there it started like building up more energy. And I was like, okay, this is it. So I just leave it alone. I take that turn a little bit wide, and I thought it was the best thing for
So I'm
him.
guessing as we move ahead 3 weeks to the Preakness, I'm guessing the only real concern was the fact that, Bob in particular was a little concerned about fitness with this horse, and that's what he told you to kind of win easily in the Arkansas Derby, and then you have to run your eyeballs out
Yeah.
to win the Kentucky Derby 2 weeks later for the Preakness, then
Yeah.
3 weeks for the Belmont. Coming back in 2 weeks, how tired was he out of that race, or did he recover pretty quickly?
No, it was gonna. I was kind of excited for going to the Preakness because right when he crossed the wire in the Kentucky Derby, I mean, he just completely took off on me.
Okay.
And I can't just really pull him up. I have a little bit of hard time to pull him up because he just want to run. And to me,
It's a good sign.
It was a great sign for the Preakness. So after the race, Buffer and I would talk about it. It's like, so what are we gonna do at the Preakness? I thought this thing is gonna be much easier. It's like, yeah, me too. It's like, but don't worry about it. I think that horse, finally he just figured out. And because after the race, I told him it's like I having a hard time to pull him up. So I think in the Preakness he'll be okay. And I was more excited for the Preakness, and I was not even worried about like, get beat in the Preakness. No.
And Bob's always said that was the easiest leg
Yeah.
of the Triple Crown. He's always said that, not just American Pharoah with most of his horses. It was a little bit of a merry-go-round race. The Derby, Dortmund got the lead. He ran third. Firing Line was in second. You were in third. So the closers didn't do anything that race. And the top three from the Derby all came back to the Preakness. And I think at the Preakness, it was over a sloppy racetrack, which you guys had already won over in the Rebel in that first start as a 3-year-old. Talk about the lightning and the storm that took place that delayed the start of the race by it was like 10 minutes. The weather was crazy, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. It was so bad. Like,
how did he handle that, American Pharoah? That kind of the lightning and all that stuff before the race.
I was like, American Pharoah, he was great. Nothing bothers him. I mean, he's all professional. He's all forward. He knows that he's just gonna run, and that's how he was such a great horse, because the weather, nothing bothers him. He just he do his job and he run. I believe he was better in the mud running, because he's capable like carpet. I mean, he moves so nice and easily that they're all there like rain and so much water and the thunders, and he was not. And I remember in the paddock and the warm up, I always like to look at all the horses, and American Pharoah, he was just like walking like no big deal. He's like any other race.
The others were being affected by it a little bit.
The other ones really got an effect.
Yeah.
They're like run sideways. They just don't want nothing to do with the weather.
Right.
I was like, wow, this is great. And I mean, you know, I had so much confidence in him, and also to me, when you have the confidence in a horse that he's the best horse in the race, and also like in the training too, you know, Buffett is one of like I have all the confidence in him that
Yeah.
he's not, you know, he's gonna train this horse 100%. I'm not gonna be worried about it. He's gonna be short in the race anyways.
Right. You're the greatest Triple Crown trainer
Yeah.
of all time in Bob Baffert. So in the Preakness, we're going to show that now. I know Baffert was a little concerned about the rail in
Yeah.
this race. Obviously, it didn't become a factor, but was the idea with the inside. Now, outside in the Derby, you have to rate. Inside post here, you got to go, right?
Yeah, no, yeah. Our conversation is just to just go. I mean, unless something goes wrong, it's like, you know, I'm gonna just send out of there and just let it run. And I know that other horse he got speed. I think it was Mr. C or some.
Yes, right.
Yeah. He was fast, and then the other guy too. He just sent out of there. I was like, all right. I look at him, you know, like 30 yards away from the gate, and he was going with me. I was like, all right, good luck. I don't know how long you're gonna, you know, stay with me, but I'm not gonna rate. I'm just gone. And sure enough, I put him away in the first 3/8, and that was it pretty much.
Yeah, and I think the horses that are close up to you, they all finished at the back of the pack. I believe Tale of Verbs, the Dallas Stewart horse that came off the pace to finish second in the race. You can see Mr. Z, Dortmund, Divining Rod. Divining Rod actually does hang on for third in this race. But yeah, I think this is the first time the Preakness was conducted over a sloppy racetrack since like 1983. I mean, it hadn't happened in like 32 years. So the whole thing was very strange with the delay and the rarity and the off track there. And now you give them a little breather, right? Yeah. You're saying, oh, come on, I'm inviting you back into the race. And then once I get my breather, I'll ask. You've had to work hard to get within a length of me. I haven't done anything. And then I'm gonna forge ahead. And the race was pretty much over. So he had that nice little breather, didn't he, down the backside?
Yeah, I mean the fractions they were pretty fast, and then I'm just gonna
46 and 2 for the half, Victor.
Yeah, the 22 and 46 and mile and 8. I mean, it's pretty ridiculous fractions, but you know, doing it so easy and it's so fun. That was one of my favorite races. That was so fun to ride in there, in that situation with American Pharoah. It's just fun to ride those, you know, like an amazing horse like American Pharoah, and the situation like the rain and all this stuff. It was just it's amazing. I had the best time ever in there.
Yeah, not only is he I think the best horse you've ever ridden, one of the best horses of all time. He's got to be the easiest horse you've ever ridden too, right? They kind of go hand in hand, but with his demeanor and his running style, I mean, it's not easy. There's still pressure involved, but he's got to be one of the easiest horses you've ever ridden.
Yeah, you know what? The only difficult thing for him it was out of the gate.
Right.
That was always because he was not really quick out of the gate. He was such a big and powerful horse that he took a little time to come out of the gate, and that was my only job that I had to do. Just make sure he just come out of there running, and so you know I got really lucky that never really like something happens out of the gate, because there was my only concern and my only worry about every time I ride him, just to come out of the gate clean, and that was pretty much it. That was my job, my hard job that I had to do. Just come, you know, take him out of the gate.
So then we have so Bob and yourself, you're alive once again. I mean, you've been alive a couple of times to pull out the Triple Crown with War Emblem and California Chrome, Baffert with Real Quiet and Silver Charm and War Emblem. So you guys have both been through this before. What were the 21 days like between the Preakness and the Belmont? Do you try to keep yourself occupied with other things, or are you thinking about this a lot? Or you try to get away from it a little bit? You know, describe what your mind was like and what you were doing during that span.
A little bit of everything, to not just to think about that race and be focused on that race, because otherwise I'm going to be too nervous and, you know, started doing things wrong. So, yeah, it seems like 3 weeks seems like 6 months.
Right.
And it's always like, to me, I'm always like every day I wake up and just make sure that I like want to know how American Pharoah doing. Myself, just trying to keep myself like not doing much because again, there's a risk, a little bit risk for me too. I don't want to get hurt in the race before the Triple Crown. You know, it's like it's just a consistent balance, and to the get to that race.
All right, so we're going to fast forward to. I'm not sure if it was the day before. I was fortunate enough to be there with the folks witnessing, the greatest sporting event that I've ever been at, and I think we had you on the set. Um, I think it was the day before the race, and you seemed so loosey goosey. I remember you jumping over the railing to get to the set. I mean, you seemed. I don't know if you were nervous on the inside, but on the outside, your exterior, you seemed completely relaxed. Was that a facade, Victor, or were you really at that point in time ready for this, ready for the moment, and felt pretty good?
I feel pretty good. I was ready for it. I never been with so much confidence in that horse, American Pharoah, and the way Buffer he trains that horse for a Triple Crown to get there, and 2 days or 3 days I see him, and I was like, wow, this is it.
Was there much instruction in the paddock before the race? Because obviously we've seen horses like Smarty Jones, who probably was the best horse in the Belmont, should have won the Triple Crown. He was ganged up on a little bit early on. Everyone knows American Pharoah's running style. Was there any conversation about if you get ganged up on early on, what to do? What was the talk pre-race like with Bob?
Yeah, before a little bit, we talk about we have like a little conversation that Buffer is like, and we say, I'm gonna just send it out of there, as quick as possible without really like using much, and we talk about it's like, okay, if we can take the lead by 1 length when we hit the first turn 1 length in front or two, then that's it. That's all we want, and that's all exactly what we're talking about. It's just like just want to make sure bounce out of there, get him running, and open it up at least 1 length or more. When you hit, if I'm 1 length in front, by the time I hit the first turn, then that's it. And if it's good enough, that's good enough to win. If not, then it is what it is, and we probably. If you don't win, I'll be crying the next few months. But but to me, it was the key, and Buffer too. Buffer and that was the key. Just
the start was the key, and
started the key, and open up 1 length before I can hit the first turn, 1 length in front. That's all I had to do.
The place was electric before the race, as there were. I was talking to a lot of people at Belmont Park, people that obviously weren't even alive the last time there was a Triple Crown winner. It was a Fern back in 1978. I saw dads with their kids that were racing fans, and the father remembered a Fern, but the son had it was a pretty emotional day at Belmont Park before things got even more emotional. As we go back and take a look, and you mentioned the break critical, and the break went very well for American Pharoah as he just bounded out to the lead. Here in the Belmont, June 6, 2015, Belmont Park, and the break pivotal for Pharoah. And what were your odds there? You went off at 75 cents on the dollar, and there you go, right to the front, move over, get your position. So right now you had to have you must have felt very relieved as you're going into the first turn.
Yeah, I was like kind of very excited, but I don't want to celebrate too soon because I know at that point I control everyone in there. And American Pharoah, he was traveled so smooth and nicely. It's exactly what I wanted. Control the race. That was important for me. And the only thing I had to do just make sure he's travel right and make sure I have the right path for him, and just cruising along with a long reins in there without even be in his way.
I mean, you're a West Coast rider, but obviously you've ridden it at Belmont Park a lot over
Yeah.
the years. How important is it to at least have some experience over Big Sandy at 12 furlongs? And obviously it helps, and you can sort of recall some of your own past experiences, especially in this race, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It helps a lot. It like to know exactly a little bit like when to move, basically. I mean, the tracks, they're all like you're gonna run the same distance no matter where you go. But to me, it was like important um, to ride over there a few times and have that little bit of experience, so we know what exactly the spot and when you had to just let your horse run.
You look loaded at
Yeah.
this point, and you obviously were. I mean, you can just look at some of the other jockeys starting to get a little busy right now, and you are. I mean, talk about a confident looking ride. I mean, the entire race, you looked very confident. I mean, there wasn't any point in this race in which you were even slightly concerned.
No, not at all. No, unless something goes wrong with American Pharoah, but no, so
Right.
far. And I was just waiting. I want to let her run a little bit early, but it's like I don't want like something happens in the end. So I wait as long as possible. And then when I hear somebody come next to me, the gray horse, come like right next to my
Frosted.
Frosty, yeah, by the American Pharaoh, his tail, and that's when I decide just to let her run.
Let me ask you, like, turning for home, could you get an idea of the crowd noise? I mean, or are you so
Yeah.
focused? Is it tunnel vision for you, or could you hear the place starting to erupt?
Nah, I was just too much like concentrating on the horse.
So you didn't even hear the place that was. I mean, the place was shaking, and you had
Yeah,
no idea.
no, no,
That's
until I
interesting.
crossed the wire. I just hear some echoes in my ear. That's why people were so loud that I was just like hearing like an echo in my ears, and that's pretty much it. And again, like after the race, I was so excited that I didn't hear no noise. It's just like I said, just an echo in my ears.
I mean, Victor, I was at Bo Holyfield 2 when Fan Man came into the ring at Caesar's Palace. I've been at Game 7 of World Series. That was next level. I've never been anything like that. I had to work after that race. It was difficult, to be honest with you. But yeah, you've heard a lot of people talk about this. People you don't even know. It was weird. It's like you're walking up to people like, oh, people are crying. Strangers are hugging each other. People you had never met in your life, you had a connection with for being there at that point in time. I mean, I knew it was going to be special when we finally had a Triple Crown winner. I mean, I had no idea it was going to be like that. I mean, I don't know. At what point did it really kind of sink in? What happened? Did it take a few days? Did it take a few minutes? Was it the winner's circle? Was it when you were sitting at home a week later? At what point did you go, wow, that happened?
I think in the winter circle, I saw when just started like sinking everything. It's like, God, just finally happened. So it's like been there twice, and now it's the third time. That was it. Yeah, I was just like, I was speechless. Anyways, I don't even know what to say in that point.
And
I
it
was
was
so
great for
excited.
racing, Victor. It was great for racing. I was a little upset because I think we have the photo. I have the Sports Illustrated. There it is. I see it
Uh-huh.
just to prove it that I have it here as well. Victor, I just missed being in this photo.
Ah,
Like literally, if they would have went a little bit more to the right, you would have seen me with my phone up in the air, like my hand raised. I just missed being on the cover of SI. I mean, this was, as I mentioned, fabulous for racing. He
yeah.
became obviously a superstar. Before we get into the end of his career, I mean, you were going on Jimmy Fallon and stuff. I mean, what was it? What was it like for you as well? All of a sudden, you're this great writer, and all of a sudden, you're sitting next to celebrities on late night talk shows.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I mean, that's how like I always think about and just any career that I that someone or me like me like to choose. It's all like take one moment, one horse. Like for me, one horse just to be able to like uh, you know show everyone like how you know how great a job and how much I learned to ride those amazing horses. It's amazing, and also the team too, the combination, like like sometimes like okay, that was like the horse that maybe nobody really like it was focused on at first, And for some reason, I was just the luckiest guy, and also just buffer. Why would he choose me to ride the best horse they ever freaking trained? You know what I mean? It's just an amazing feeling.
Well, you don't question the man. He knows what he's doing. He knew what he was doing when he chose you to ride. So now we're getting to the last 3 starts of his career. He had a couple of months off. And then one of the other races that Bob's won like 87 times is the Haskell. So you go there, and it was just a real easy win. He was 1-9. It was I mean, he was, again, it was bedlam at Monmouth Park. I was there for that race. I mean, it was a packed house. He's a celebrity, and you were kind of waving at the crowd. I mean, you seemed unbelievably relaxed at this point in time. All the pressure, if there was any at all, was over with winning the Triple Crown. So you win that race. Then he comes back to California, and you tell me if I'm wrong. And I don't want to put you on the spot with this, but it's been 8 years. I remember, I think it was Mike Joyce with TVG talking to Bob when the decision was made after shipping east to win the Haskell and then shipping back. It was determined to ship back east for the Travers, and it didn't seem like that was what Bob wanted to do at all. Did you have any thoughts on that yourself, or you just leave it to the people that are in charge?
No, to me, I was just, my job is to ride him and the race. Yeah. And whatever decision you're
not going to tell Bob what he should do or anybody else, and you're not going to give your opinion on anything. No. He won the Haskell very easily.
Yeah.
So racing.
Yeah. So the Haskell was just a workout. Basically, I was just like easy workout because, riding, and I thought he has no competition. The same buffer, he thought it was not competition for him. It's like first race back, just don't abuse him so much. Just go easy with him, and that's it. If everything goes right, and the only thing I know that Bob, he don't want to run in the Travers. That's why he shipped the horse to California.
Because he would have left him out there, right? If he thought that.
Yeah, he was kind of right behind there, but I guess the Sayas insist to run in the Travers, and so I guess they went and running in the Travers, and I thought it was like a little bit too much for him, even though Bob did the best he can to make sure the horse he goes there in a good shape. But
I mean, I don't know a lot about it either. All I know is it does seem a little odd to question Bob at all, especially with the success this horse has had. I think at that point, whatever he wants to do probably should go. But the owner gets the final call. So they go out to the Travers, and this to me was fascinating. Going back and doing a little bit of research, I remember this. And then, so he galloped on the racetrack at Saratoga the day before. And I don't think you were aboard. It was Jorge Alvarez, I think, who was the exercise rider. There were 15,000 people at Saratoga. They had Larry Colness out there talking to the folks and like calling American Pharoah galloping around the racetrack. And is it true? Because I don't really remember this that well. Did he go a little faster than they wanted the day before, or am I remembering that incorrectly?
No, I think you're right. I exactly what I saw too, but I was not there. I was just hearing from everyone that he basically let it go too fast.
Because Alvarez he's a big exercise rider, right? And Baffert used him because he's big and he's really strong. And I heard he had a really hard time pulling him up during the workout. So there wasn't really much he could do. Pharoah wanted to go. There's only so much that Alvarez could do at that point.
I mean, that's their job, just to, gallop in the horse right. I mean, if you don't do the right job, then it's like me. My job is to ride him and then, and make sure that he wins.
Were you there for that workout?
No, I was not there. So I go with I hear, like same as you, like we just hear how it went.
So what did Bob say? What did Bob say to you? He's like, well, he worked.
Happy about it. He was not very happy.
You probably can't. You can't utter the words that he used.
It's true. No, which is understandable. I mean, like the horse, he has too much, and already it was done to like go from running the high school and ship in California and then go back to New York. It was not easy. And then now next time he's basically worked 2 days or the day before.
The day
So
before.
yeah, that was way too much. That
In
poor
front of
horse.
15,000 people. So you know, he actually runs great in defeat in the Travers.
Yes.
I mean, I think the buyer, every one of his buyers was like 101 or higher after his debut. He never ran a buyer lower than 101, I don't think, after the first start he had 100 in the Rebel. So it was between 100 and then we'll get to the 120 in the Classic in a moment. He ran a 105. I mean, give Keen Eyes credit. He ran a great race. But so do you think, was it the fact that he was fatigued? Did he not like Saratoga? Was it not his day? Was it a combination, or was it more the fact that he was tired?
I think more the fact that he was a little bit tired. But also, like, it's not. I think it could. I believe I still could have won the race. But I mean, I don't know if you remember that the other horse outside. I think Rosario was supposed to ride that horse, and he got hurt, and they changed riders.
Yes.
And yeah, and then so finally the other rider rode that horse, and then he was like right next to me the whole race. And then when he got to the 3As, he moved from before the 3As, and right when the horses switched the lead, I mean, he completely went and just hit it so hard, American Pharoah, from like his hips that he crossed his legs, almost hit the fence at that point. And it kind of really like got me off guard because I would expect that. And I'm like, what's going on in here, you know? And then I look at him, and it just like completely, like pretty much the whole, like the last turn, he just bumps me like many times, and like a couple times I almost hit the rail, and even like almost like turning to the stretch, there was the last bump. It hit me pretty hard in there. So American Pharoah, he was just really confused and lost the whole like rhythm that he was running, and I thought I think, to me, that was the most affected in the race. Even
I'm guessing in defeat. I mean, sometimes that those are the most character building types of races, right? I mean, you must have had an incredible respect for him. Nothing went his way in terms of the shipping, in terms of the day before, in terms of the trip he had, the pressure he had, and for him to run that kind of race, in defeat, you must have been really proud of him.
Yeah, I was. It's like, I know, like, still, I thought he still turned from. I thought he's gonna win, but the last 8 to the mount, I can feel it. He's not. His body like was not have the same energy as before. He just like started like his legs started like a little bit like bubbling at that point. And
it was an added race for us. Thank you, producer Ren. Appreciate that. So we're showing it now here, Victor. This is this wasn't planned, but I think it makes sense. And so there you are. That's Frosted. It was obviously a great racehorse.
Yeah, he was a great horse too. Frosted, he was the one like it really like he hit me few times around the turn, and I thought it was a little bit too much for American Pharoah. See, like last like 8 to the mount is when he just like have enough. It's like that was it. Yeah. And I thought he ran an amazing race still. But and then sometimes things happens for the best, because after that that race he was gonna run again in Santa Anita before the Breeders' Cup, but because he got beat, then he has a little bit more time, so that's why they decided
to recover.
I guess the Asayas, he want to run it, like thought he was gonna win the Travers and then he can run it again in Santa Anita, and Buffer, he don't want to do that, and after he got beaten in the Travers, so in a way it was kind of good, but obviously we don't, Buffer and I or everyone, we don't want that horse to get beat, but sometimes happens for the best, because after he got beat the Travers, that that Buffer decided not to run it into the Breeders' Cup and then have him ready for the Breeders' Cup. I thought, okay, that's just a good thing, because if he could have won the Travers, the Sayas, he really like forcing basically Buffer to run in Santa Anita again before the Breeders' Cup. So it would be too much back to back, so many races. And
right, but because Bob was right about the Travers being a mistake, then they listened to Bob this time, which helped obviously in terms of the final race of his career. And I think that the loss in the Travers did nothing in terms of American Pharoah's career to tarnish it at all. It did nothing to diminish it. I don't believe, especially considering what he did in the last start of his career. We're about to wrap this up, Victor. This has been awesome. We're gonna throw to that race full sound. Before we do that, a couple of things. First of all, I want to tell folks that our final Flashback Friday will be next week, and we're going to go out to WinStar Farm. And speaking of great horses, we're going to visit with two-time Breeders' Cup Classic winner, one of the all-time greats, Tiz Now. That will be next week. And before I let you go, Victor, so the Classic was unreal. The buyer came back 120. It looked like, knowing this was the last start of his career, you were having fun at the end of that race, and you were pushing kind of, you wanted to put on a show, right, for the fans, that last 3/16.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it was the last race, so that's it. I mean, I want to just let her just, be him, and just like you said, put a show to everyone. There's going to be the last race, and he's always the best. I want to just let him pretty much.
The Grand Slam, Victor, the Derby, the Belmont, and the Classic's never been done. I don't know if it'll be done again.
No, I mean, who knows? But and that's how it required an amazing horse, and he was one of the best to win the Breeders' Cup Classic, and I was excited and looking forward again. It's like, what more they're asked in my career, to ride. It is just an amazing horse, an American Pharoah, and the team too. I mean, obviously without a team. Like I said, sometimes like
Jimmy Barnes, yeah,
exactly. Jimmy and Buffer's the greatest, and it makes me more confidence and fun to win those races and share with those moments where they're an amazing team, like Buffer's team.
I lied, Victor. One more question, and then I'll let you go. So, from a figure standpoint, the Classic was his fastest race. Right, I mean, his buyer shot up there. It was unbelievable. He won with ease. You could have gone faster, which means the figure would have been higher. Do you ever dream about what he would have been like at 4? I mean, he's one of the all-time greats at 3. I mean, do you ever think, wow, what would this guy have been like at 4, when the best race of his career was at the end of a pretty grueling 3-year-old campaign?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I always have that in my mind, how good he could be. I mean, he was the greatest, but it will probably be better as older horse, because he's
maturing still.
Yeah. I mean, it was an amazing horse as a 3-year-old. So you can imagine the horses that get better as they get older.
Well, Victor, I want to thank you so much. I don't know how long this has been. I think it's been long, but it's been fun. Time has flown by for me, at least. Hopefully it's flown by for our viewers. I want to thank you, and I want to thank American Pharoah as well for doing his thing and helping racing so much, and being the superstar that he is and continues to be. And with that, we will leave you with the final start of the amazing career of Triple Crown winner, Grand Slam winner, American Pharoah, 2015 Keeneland Racecourse, the Breeders' Cup Classic, another dominant performance for one of the all-time greats, American Pharoah.
As American Pharoah enters the starting gate for the final time for the call of the Breeders' Cup Classic, here's Larry Colmus.
All right, Tom, American Pharoah is in there. We're just waiting for Honor Code, who takes up his spot in the outside stall. They're all in line, and we're ready for the start. They're off in the Breeders' Cup Classic, and American Pharoah bounds right to the front. He's going to take the early lead in the Classic, and FNX is away running in second. Fosted wrangled off the pace, and so too Totalist on the inside. And he's a bit keen and headstrong. And Keen Ice is right behind them as American Pharoah passes the finish line for the first time. And then it's Glen Eagles, followed on the outside by Hard Aces, and Honor Code is last. And the first quarter mile goes in 23 and 4/5 seconds. That's not a fast pace. And it is American Pharoah who is setting it. And FNX is his closest pursuer. He is 2 lengths behind running in second. Totalist, a Belmont Stakes winner, is third, 5 lengths off of a Triple Crown winner. And then Frosted to the outside. Keen Ice is a good 9 lengths behind. Then Glen Eagles, Hard Aces, and Honor Code will do his running later. He's 13 lengths off the lead. A half mile in 47. and 2/5 seconds. And American Pharoah, the Triple Crown winner, heads up the backstretch at Keeneland in the Breeders' Cup Classic. FNX is a length and 3/4 off of him in second. And then Totalist and Frosted right together, third and fourth, 5 lengths ahead of Keen Eyes, Glen Eagles, and Heart Aces. And still Honor Code at the back of the field of 8 that chases American Pharoah through 3/4 of a mile in 1:11.1. So it's picked up a bit as they head for the far turn. American Pharoah's lead is a length and a half. And now Victor Espinoza starts to pump on him and says, let's go. On the far turn, they're in front by 2. FNX continues to chase, and then comes Frosted and Totalist, and they're all put to full-out drives, and American Pharoah is getting away, and they're into the stretch, and American Pharoah has a 4-length lead. FNX is second, and then it's Frosted, Totalist, and Honor Code. American Pharoah comes into his final furlong, and he's got a 6-length lead as they come to the wire. A Triple Crown winner, a Breeders' Cup winner, a horse of a lifetime. American Pharoah has won the Breeders' Cup Classic over FNX and Honor Code in a final time of 2 minutes, 0.07 seconds. He went out in style.